Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is the install I will be showing you today. You'll see in the video how I got this done. This install is suited for somebody who wants to wear a wig 2 to 3 weeks. It is not for someone who wants to wear a wig 1 or 2 days. It would honestly be a waste of your glue and you would have a huge cleanup when you're trying to remove it. So even if you plan to wear your wig for only a week, do not do as many layers of glue as I did. So I want to say that before we get started. So today I am installing a lace wig on my friend Hershey Sunday. And what I'm doing is I'm just starting by moisturizing her hair completely. And then I'm going to braid her hair straight back into 6 braids total. I'm of course going to detangle her hair, comb it out completely, make sure I get the braids nice and neat. You want these braids to be flat. You don't want them to be chunky or too thick, or else you are going to have a thick foundation underneath your wig, so your wig won't be able to lay as flat. So I used Hawaiian Silky to moisturize her hair, and the black Got to Be Glued gel to slick it back. So after you get your hair braided back, or whoever's hair you're doing braided straight back, you are going to proceed with putting the wig cap on top. You're gonna wanna use a stocking cap. I prefer to go with the lighter color stocking cap because typically I'm going to apply their foundation on top of it. So it's easier to me to just get the lighter color versus going with the darker brown, because if it's darker than their skin color, now you're trying to cover up a darker cap with lighter foundation. So it's easier to cover over a lighter cap with a darker foundation versus covering up a darker cap with a lighter foundation. All right, so this cap is a little beat up, so it's not fitting quite as well as it could, but I went ahead and applied some of her liquid foundation to the cap using a sponge. And what I'm doing now is I'm cutting tiny little holes and then I'm stretching them out so the cap can kind of go over her ears, but her ears can still be outside of the cap. You'll be able to see that on the other side. So I am applying that foundation pretty much everywhere the frontal will be covered. It doesn't need to be all over the cap, but I'm gonna go ahead and put a nice amount of that foundation all over that cap. And you'll see by the end of this video that she's gonna have a seamless foundation for her wig. And on the other side, I'm cutting the cap. And as you see, the cap got a little bit of a rip in it, but it's fine, you're not gonna see it. So I'm putting some of the Got to Be Glued freeze spray on there after you've applied the foundation. So you're just gonna spray that all along the base of the hairline. You can do a couple layers. I think I did maybe 2 or 3 layers. After that freeze spray is dried, I'm going to apply my first layer of Ghostbond glue. I have not cut the cap yet. I like to go ahead and do 1 layer of the Ghostbond first, just to make sure I secure the cap, because I find that sometimes when I cut the cap before applying the glue, it kind of curls up on the edges and then it like sticks out weird. So I'm gonna do 1 layer of glue first. So I use the end of a rat tail comb to kind of spread that out. So I do use a good amount of glue. Generally, I would not use this much glue for myself, but Hershey likes to wear her wigs for sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes even longer. She's kept them on there. So I've applied that first layer, and what I do is I just spread that out pretty well, maybe about 1 inch wide, and then it goes all the way across down to her ears, and on the sides I get that all the way across. So we're getting some tea. We're laughing at something, I'm sure. All right, so I'm at the point now where I'm going to go ahead and cut the cap. So I've applied 1 layer of the glue. As you can see, the glue dries transparent. You don't see it anymore. Maybe in a few spots you do, but it's pretty much transparent at this point. So you want to go through and cut the cap pretty close to her hairline. She has a very small forehead, so typically she wants her wig to lay right on her hairline. She doesn't want it kind of placed in front of her hairline. I prefer mine like placed in front of my hairline because I have a big forehead, but she wants hers exactly on her hairline. So I'm cutting it really close because of her small forehead. Okay, so go ahead and apply another layer of that glue, and you're gonna do a nice amount again, especially if you're gonna be wearing your wig for an extended period of time. I guarantee this method will keep that wig on your head for at least 2 weeks, and it's not gonna go anywhere. So I'm just spreading the glue out like I did the first time around, all the way down to the sides of her ears, because of course you're gonna want the hairline to go all the way down to there if your wig comes down that far. So I am spreading the glue, and then at this point what I do is I clean up the excess glue. I know that it's not going to come that far down on her forehead, so I just get some alcohol. The highest percentage I think they have is 90%. Use that 90% alcohol and just wipe down the excess glue. And you see I'm cutting that cap, the edge of that cap now, where I had that hole for her ear to go through the opening. You can go ahead and cut that at this point. And what you also want to do while you are going through the process of putting the glue on there is clean your comb. That rat tail end of your comb needs to be cleaned every so often, because as you're going through and it's coming in contact with different surfaces, of course it has this sticky glue on it, so it's picking up different things. Now we are going to apply that same foundation we put on the cap to the lace on the wig. This will ensure that you don't have a weird color that doesn't match her skin tone on the wig, and it'll be seamless. So here is the cap now with the second layer dried, or the third layer. Okay, so we're gonna start laying the wig down. So what I'm doing is I am using the comb that's in the wig to secure it to the back of her head. And now I am laying down the lace starting in the middle. And keep in mind, this glue is very sticky, so you want to be careful with your movements. I know it may look like I'm moving fast, but this is her second install with this wig. I already know how it lays on her head, so I'm already familiar with it. But definitely the first time with the wig, I moved a lot slower. You definitely want to have your rat tail comb available, or even a T-pin, so that you can smooth that lace down or lift it up as you need to. Because if your hands are not clean and you're touching the lace, you may end up having the glue flake up on you. So if you're not keeping your hands clean, I recommend using the rat tail comb. I actually have a washcloth and paper towels right near me with alcohol on them. So I was constantly wiping my hands, making sure they were clean and they didn't have any residue or anything on them. So I'm lifting up the lace and adjusting it as I go. So at this point now, I am wiping up any excess glue I'm seeing. It's best to go ahead and get that up as you go, clean as you go. And you, of course, apply that to whatever else you're using, if you're using a comb or you're using the T-pin. And you see I'm wiping my hands again before I keep touching the hair and touching the lace. So I'm going through, I'm wiping it, I'm readjusting the lace a little bit. If I'm trying to readjust the lace, what I do is I may wet it a little bit with the alcohol to loosen it up, and then lift it and press it back into place, and it will dry fine. It will not mess up the glue if you put a little bit of alcohol on it to move things around. As I said before, she really likes her wig close to her hairline. She does not want it in front of there because she has a small forehead. So I'm making sure I keep, her wig how she wants it. So go through, clean up the excess glue, and you'll just see me doing that throughout the process. All right, so I am wiping off the comb, wiping down my hands, and I see a little bit of lace that's kind of curled up a little bit. It's not laying flat. So what I'm doing now is I am using that comb to press it down. You want that lace to be smooth and flat against their skin. If the lace is not flat, it's going to be very obvious. So after I did that, I went through, I'm cleaning it up again. So you'll see that process. I also forgot to add, the knots have been bleached on this wig, so that really helps blend it in. Okay, so I see little parts that are sticking up. What I'm doing now is I am taking the tip of that glue and I'm just kind of poking little pockets of glue where I see any little spots that are lifting up or any spots that are not blending in properly. If you get it on the baby hairs, make sure you clean it up. Get the glue off of the hair, don't have it mixed in with the hair. So if you're not comfortable just using the tip of the glue, you don't want to accidentally put too much, what you can do is you can put a little bit of the glue onto a different surface and you can use a T-pin on like the edge of the T-pin to press in that little bit of glue. Okay, so on the right of Hershey's head, the left for you guys on your screen, I see a little bit of lace to me that is just not blending in. There's no baby hairs on it, there's no hair sticking out, so it could be the wig shedding. I'm trimming that little bit of excess lace off, and you may find every time you install your wig that you have to do this, depending on the wig. It depends on how much the wig sheds or maybe how you cut the lace, but you can go ahead and trim the lace as you need to. The lace does not need to be cut straight across. It's okay if it's jagged. It actually looks more natural that way. So I just trimmed that little bit of excess lace so it would blend in better. Look at that hairline. What lace? What lace? Now it's time to do these baby hairs. I know a lot of people have a love and hate relationship with them. I like the baby hairs. I use the black Got To Be Glued gel. I don't really like the yellow one so much. I feel like because I change my baby hairs and Hershey likes to change hers, you know, the black is better. It's easier to work with. You can wet the black one a little bit and it's a little more free-forming. So you can kind of switch the baby hairs around. They're not stiff with the black gel. They're not going to flake up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of a swoop for her. I use, you know, a little bit, not too much, just a little dab of it. And I am using an edge brush that has a little comb on the end. And you'll see how we'll use that later on in the video. But just take your time with the baby hairs. Don't rush it. You don't need a lot of strands. You want to use a few strands. And when I say a few, I mean like 5. You can use like the end of the rat tail comb just to pull out a few. And you can even start maybe with some mousse to start to mold it. And then add the black Got To Be Glued once you have it how you want it to be. But I like my baby hairs to be thinner. I don't want super thick baby hairs. In this case on the wig, for the sideburns, those will be a little thicker. But the reason why is because this wig doesn't really have long sideburns. So the lace doesn't really come down on the sides. So just to cover up Hershey's hair on those ends, I make her sideburns a little thicker than I normally would. But I've already taken a razor and cut them down so they're not like super long. So that's why it's already cut and everything. So a quick tip, if your wig is not all the way dry, maybe it's still moving a little bit, you can still proceed with doing the baby hairs if you're pressed for time. I would prefer you wait until it's dry, but you can do them. Just hold the wig in place and be gentle as you do it. So I'm still working with these baby hairs. I want to add that they've already been cut. So the first time I did her install, I went through and I cut the baby hairs. So there was no need for me to go through and cut them again this time. But if you are using, let's say, a different section of hair to create baby hairs, feel free to take a razor comb and to cut them down to your preferred length. I cut them down pretty short because I wanted it to look natural to how her baby hair actually looks. And you will see that it may take some time to get that done. So I'm going through cleaning up the wig again, cleaning up that hairline, making sure there's no glue clump up in her hair, because you definitely don't want that in that hair. And I'm using that end with the comb to make sure I get any little specks of glue out, because she did wear this wig before, so she didn't get all the glue out. So the wig was already pre-plucked, so I didn't have to do any plucking on this wig. Anything I wanted to pluck, I did that the first time I installed the wig, and the wig is still drying at this point, so it's a little shiny. It will actually dull down, and it will dry along with the Got to Be Glued. So it's nice to use that black Got to Be Glue, because if you miss any spots with the lace glue at all, the Got to Be Glued will work along with it. I think they work well together. So I do like using those products together. I'm still just going through cleaning up the hairline. I don't like any glue to be in the hair. I hate how it feels. So I am kind of crazy about that. So I take a lot of time to do that. Alright, so Hershey wanted her hair flat ironed. I went ahead and did that. Now I'm going through with the flat iron again, and I'm just making sure that the hair is going in the right directions. No hair is sticking out. To help your part be as flat as possible, because you may find that your part is bunching up, the hair is bunching up, or even the lace, you want to make sure you have your wig pulled in the back as far as possible. And once you've made sure you've done that, you can then take your flat iron, or preferably a hot comb, or a curling iron, or one of those wand curlers, and you can actually press it down against that part to flatten it completely. So that's a good way to make sure your part is nice and flat. After you do that, you can take some holding spray. I actually used the Garnier holding spray, and I sprayed it, and then I just smoothed it down, and her part looked great. So that's what I'm doing now, is just straightening out that part, going over it with the flat iron and making sure I get it smooth. She did want a little bit of volume on that side, just a little bit of volume. Hershey likes to change her part and do different things with her hair, so she's not going to wear it in one part or wear it in one style necessarily. She will probably end up wetting this hair and wearing it wavy. She may throw some curls in it. I'll be just as surprised as you guys are. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she does too. But I just went through with the flat iron and I just flattened out her part some. I didn't have my curling wand, so I used the flat iron. And I'm using that little edge brush to make sure the edges are all smooth, because you don't want anything out of place. Okay, so we are all done. Let's take a close-up on this lace. It looks great. The foundation helped match the lace to her skin perfectly. The baby hairs are very natural. The lace is smooth and flat. There's no bunching up. You don't see a separation between her hairline and her lace. It looks great. So Hershey is happy with her install. Super happy about it. And I have all the lights on, the flashes on, so you're getting a really good photo of what the lace actually looks like. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for your support. Bye.